India has never had more opportunity than it does today. I mean, just look around. We have world-class engineers. We're building factories, infrastructure, and advanced manufacturing at a scale we've literally never attempted before. Artificial intelligence and automation, they're in every single boardroom conversation right now. The world wants India to become a manufacturing powerhouse. And yet, despite all this incredible momentum, one really uncomfortable question has bothered me for most of my working life.
Why are we still not the manufacturing benchmark of the world? It's a tough question, isn't it? But that central puzzle, it really began an entire journey of realization for me.
Because if you look back over the last 50 years, every single decade handed us a new explanation to solve that exact puzzle. In the 70s, the answer was capital. Then it was machines. Then quality systems. Then ERP. Then Industry 4.0. And today, of course, everyone says it's artificial intelligence. And, each one of those was real. Each one definitely helped. And yet, that productivity gap, it's still there. It makes you think, perhaps we've just been looking in the wrong place all along.
There are three paradoxes that really convinced me something fundamental was missing here. The first is the productivity paradox. We invested heavily in technology, right? But productivity just didn't improve in proportion. The second is being data-rich but insight-poor. We have dashboards absolutely everywhere now, but actual understanding? That's rare. And the third is having fast systems but slow decisions. Technology raises a critical alert in seconds, but the organization takes 3 weeks to actually act on it. The machines became smarter, but our decision-making did not.
So I decided to ask a simpler question. Think of it almost like a riddle. Take two factories. They have the exact same machines, the same ERP system, the exact same technology, and the identical investment. Yet one consistently outperforms the other. Why is that? It's because machines execute. Managers decide. Every outcome that actually matters in a plant, quality, safety, delivery, cost, innovation, it's just the sum of thousands of human judgments made every single day. We spent 50 years optimizing the machines, but we've barely touched the judgment. And here is the core difficulty. Organizations today can measure almost everything: intelligence, skills, experience, output, you name it. But behavior? That stayed invisible. Sure, we observed it, we argued about it in appraisal meetings, we did training around it, but what we could never actually do was measure it, consistently, objectively, across hundreds of managers. But that has finally changed. And not because of some catchy corporate slogan, but because behavioral evidence can now be gathered, structured, and scored at scale. The exact same way, every time, for every manager. What used to be a matter of opinion is finally becoming a matter of measurement.
I spent 30 years inside aerospace manufacturing, and I'll tell you, that is long enough to watch the exact same leadership patterns repeat themselves across plants, across decades, and across entirely different programs. But experience isn't evidence, so we took it into formal research, evaluating leaders across multiple countries. What emerged from that was a truly fascinating structure. 8 leadership competencies, supported by 23 measurable behavioral traits, statistically validated, published, protected. These traits explain exactly why two managers facing the exact same situation produce very different outcomes. Because behavior follows patterns. Patterns can be measured, and what can be measured can absolutely be improved.
That entire journey of discovery eventually became Traits4XL. It measures those 23 leadership traits and, crucially, turns them into something a CEO can actually act on. It shows you exactly where the strengths are, where the hidden risks are hiding out, and it tells you which manager needs targeted coaching rather than just throwing them into another generic training program. And it connects that behavior directly to business outcomes. Because leadership development really shouldn't just end with a nice assessment report. It should end with a measurable change on the shop floor. Just imagine knowing which of your future leaders were genuinely ready for the pressure before you ever promoted them. Imagine knowing which teams were carrying behavioral risk that nobody had even named yet. Or knowing which plant looked perfectly healthy on every single operational metric, but was quietly becoming vulnerable. The next big competitive advantage? It might not come from building smarter factories. It's going to come from building smarter leadership and having the predictive capability to align human behavior with your operational demands. It all builds to a very simple truth. Machines build products. people build factories. If India is actually going to become the manufacturing benchmark of the world, we are going to have to invest not just in the technology, but in the behavior of the people who lead it. That is the vision behind Traits4XL. You can find more details at Traits4XL.com. As we look to the future of manufacturing, the question isn't whether your machines are smart enough. It's whether your leadership is equipped to guide them. Are you measuring what truly matters? Thank you for watching.